Hey guys, good morning. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. It is Thursday and it is May 15th, guys, and that is 2025. Welcome, everyone, to Inspirations for Your Life. The master topic for the week is understanding personal evolution, and the granular topic for today is true leadership earns trust, not fear. Series 4, Show 20, Episode 6. So, if you're hungry, want to head over to the kitchen and get yourself something delicious, I know that would be great. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold, maybe it's a drink. Doesn't really matter. But go ahead and do that now and hurry on back so we can get the show started. Well, I want to let you know that today's show is going to be a really interesting one. In this compelling episode of Inspirations for Your Life, I'm going to dive deep into the heart of leadership, not the kind that demands obedience through fear, but the kind that earns unwavering trust, the kind we don't see all the time. Leadership today requires more than authority. It requires authenticity, empathy, and the ability to inspire. Whether you're leading a team of 5 or a company of 500, your success hinges not on how much control you have, but on how the trust is built within the unit you are conducting. So join me now as I explore 10 transformational truths about the real leadership look and what that's going to be in your world and how you can cultivate a culture of respect, empowerment, and influence that truly lasts. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, not only a podcast host, but also a podcast coach. And like I said, it is truly a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you guys on this fantastic Thursday morning. So let's kick it off, all right? Leadership based on respect versus control. That's a very interesting one, right? So true leadership begins with a simple yet profound principle: respect. When leaders prioritize mutual respect over rigid control, they create a space where individuals feel valued and heard. Control may deliver short-term compliance, but respect fosters long-term commitment. Leaders who listen, include, and recognize the contributions of their team naturally, inspire loyalty and high performance. Respect acknowledges individuality and empowers growth, while control often limits the potential. I think that's important. Let me say that again. Respect acknowledges individuality and empowers growth, while control often limits potential. The most impactful leaders don't demand obedience, they earn it through consistent, fair, and inclusive behavior that elevates everyone around them. Number 2, trust as the foundation for lasting influence. This is a very interesting one, and I think a lot of people misread this. Trust isn't given freely. It's earned through consistency, integrity, and care. Leaders who cultivate trust have become influential beyond their titles. When people trust you, they'll follow you through challenges, embrace change, and remain loyal through uncertainty. Trust allows teams to take risks, be honest, and innovate without fear of retaliation. Without it, even the best strategies fall flat. Building trust means following through on promises, communicating openly, and being accountable, not just when things go right, but especially when they don't. I think that's a really important thing for many people to realize, is that we have to do that. And I think sometimes people don't understand. Number 3 is fear undermines collaboration and innovation. Fear might get quick results, but it destroys the very elements that make a team thrive: collaboration, creativity, and open dialogue. When people are afraid of being punished or ridiculed, they stop speaking up. Innovation suffers, mistakes are hidden, and growth stalls. Great leaders replace fear with psychological safety, encouraging people to challenge ideas, ask questions, and learn from failure. A fearless workplace is one where collaboration flourishes and people support one another to reach their full potential. Number 4, open communication fosters loyalty. When leaders practice open, honest communication, they build unshakable loyalty. Team members want to feel informed, understood, and involved. Keeping lines of communication open, not just for directives, but for feedback and for consistent dialogue. It creates a sense of shared mission. And it also shows respect for the employees' voices. And people don't want perfection from their leaders, they want honesty and integrity. Even when delivering hard news, transparent communication builds trust and minimizes any kind of confusion. Loyalty grows where people feel seen, heard, and respected. Number five, empowerment builds stronger teams. Empowered employees are engaged employees. When leaders delegate authority, encourage autonomy, and provide tools for success, they help people grow into their strengths. Empowerment means trusting your team to take ownership, okay, and make decisions. It fosters initiative, it boosts morale, and leads to better results. See, micromanagement, on the other hand, diminishes confidence and stifles creativity. Leaders who empower their team are not afraid of their people's growth. They encourage it, knowing that empowered individuals contribute to a stronger whole overall. Number six, guys, accountability, not intimidation. I see so many people in this world trying to force people, trying to do things. And I think sometimes people think that that fear is going to move others. And it does. It scares some people, but it's not the right thing, right? So accountability, non-intimidation. Accountability is essential for high performing culture, but it should never stem from intimidation. Effective leaders create clear expectations and hold people accountable in a way that supports growth, not fear. They address challenges with empathy and clarity, not threats. When team members understood that accountability is about learning, development, and shared success, they become more responsible and committed. Intimidation may create temporary obedience, but accountability builds the long term responsibility and trust and integrity and pride in one's work that everyone's always looking for. Number seven, transparency will always breed more confidence. This is really, really key, guys. Transparency is one of the most powerful tools in a leader's arsenal. When leaders share insights into decision making processes, company goals, or even setbacks, it builds a sense of trust and confidence. People appreciate being in the know. It shows that you value their stake in the organization and respect their intelligence. Leaders who operate in secrecy breed suspicion. Those who lead transparently create alignment, clarity, and a deep sense of shared purpose. Confidence in leadership grows when transparency becomes a norm, not an exception. Number eight, empathy as a leadership strength. Empathy isn't weakness, guys. It's a leadership superpower. Understanding what your team members are feeling, what motivates them, what challenges them, and how they face this allows you to connect on a human level. Empathetic leaders build trust, loyalty, and engagement. They lead with heart, not ego, especially in times of stress or transition. Empathy helps teams feel safe and supported. Leaders who check in on their team's well being emotionally and professionally foster a culture of care and connection that drives lasting success. Number nine, influence through example, not force. Leadership by example is far more powerful than any kind of leadership by a command, right? Or a dictatorship. Your actions set the tone more than your words. People watch how you behave, how you handle stress, how you treat others, how you stay true to your values. When leaders consistently model integrity, resilience, and commitment, they inspire their teams to follow suit. Influence rooted in example is authentic, relatable, and sustainable. Force may get compliance, but example earns admiration and drives true change. Number 10, trust, folks, unlocks sustainable success. At the core of every functioning, resilient, and successful organization is one word: trust. It's the glue that holds teams together. It's the fuel that drives performance and the safeguard during times of change. When trust is present, people take initiative, they collaborate freely, and they strive for excellence. Without it, even the most talented teams will fail. Trust doesn't happen overnight, folks. But when nurtured over time, it unlocks a level of success that no amount of control or pressure could ever mimic. It is the quiet kind of power behind every great leader's journey. You know, you might have heard this one time before, You can walk softly and carry a big stick. What does that mean? So you may never need to use the stick, but people know your power, but you're not one that actually goes and uses it every time. I think that's a very important thing for us to understand is that these are things that are really key. Whether we're talking about the workplace motivation or elevating your leadership game or something in your own personal life, I think it's important to understand that leadership is about trust. I know so many people that have thought you can just do what you want to do because you have a title, right? That's wrong. Um, and so it might work for some, okay, but it won't last for long. And once other people on the battalion find out what you're doing, they're going to break away from you, even the people that were supporting you. Does that make sense? And so as we think about this, and we think about life, we think about culture, we think about where we want to be. I think the biggest thing, the hardest thing for a lot of people is how do you get where you want to be? And I think most people understand it's about trust and integrity. But I get that some people don't understand that. I get it. All right. I firmly get it. And if you don't understand that, then how can you actually ever do anything? Right? Because you're never doing what's right. You're doing what you think it is, but you're not actually being true to others. But most importantly, you know what? You're not being true to yourself. And I think that's a big problem for so many people, out in our world today. You are not being true to yourself. So you need to be true to yourself. Okay. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but when you're true to yourself, um, so much more can happen. All right. So much more can happen. Maybe that's something. Uh, I think sometimes people want to do something, but then they just sort of don't understand. And then when they don't understand, it's like they feel lost, right? And then they're scrounging for a way to get back on top. It's not about being on top. It's not about being in control. It's about communicating. It's a two-way street, folks. It's not a one-way street. I think that's probably the most important thing that I want to share with you. It is a two-way street. But if you're living your life because you want to impress somebody, just stop it. Like, just stop it. Um, Impression is a quickly fleeting feeling, right? If you're trying to impress somebody, and it's not from integrity, it's going to come off as superficial and you know what? Phony, right? That's something that I feel many people just don't get. And so I know you're probably saying to me, John, this is kind of nuts, but let me start with my first personal lesson. So, respect is the root of real leadership. Leadership is never about barking orders or being a dictator. It's about building bridges. When you treat others with respect, you unlock that special level of collaboration and dedication that no amount of pressure can ever buy or, let's say, deliver. Respect says, I see you. You matter. It invites people to bring their whole selves to the table, unleashing creativity and commitment. The leaders we remember most aren't those who controlled us, they're the ones who have uplifted us. And I think that's an important point for a lot of people here to hopefully, grab on today that it's about that. And if we understand that's the best way, then we'll go far in life. Lesson number two is trust must be earned, not expected. You can't demand trust. You have to deserve it. You have to earn it. Every honest conversation, every promise kept, every time you admit when you're wrong, you're making a deposit into your trust bank account. And when times get tough, it's these deposits that keep your team by your side. Trust is the currency of influence. Earn it daily, and you'll never lead alone, folks. So start doing that. All right. I know it sounds like not what the bandwagon is doing, but hey, you need to be different, right? You need to be different. And lesson number three is fear has no place in a thriving team. What is fear, guys? Fear is false evidence appearing real. That's all fear really is. So a lot of people just feel that's the way it goes. If fear is driving your team, then your brakes are already on and they're failing. Okay. Fear just shuts down creativity like that. I mean, immediately. It silences voices. It just it doesn't welcome people. It puts them into this non-motivation state. The innovation they had turns into imitation and irritation. A true leader, everyone, creates an atmosphere where questions are welcomed. Questions are welcomed, not punished. And where mistakes are basically they're listened to and they're seen as teaching and learning moments. That's key, guys. And you may have to put your ego aside for this because true leaders don't really have an ego. Do you want a team that grows? I think most of you do. Get rid of the fear, right? False evidence appearing real. And, of course, that ego. And replace it with courage and compassion. That's a lot to swallow, I know. But it's the truth, guys. And sometimes hearing the truth is not what we want because we can't digest it or swallow it. And that might be something that scares some of you. But leadership sometimes, as I said, is not comfortable. And in life, I told you, you have to practice getting comfortable, folks. You have to practice getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does, folks, because I think when you can realize that, this is the kind of thing that is going to not only change, let's say, who you are, but really shape everything. Okay. I think that's a very, very important thing for everyone to understand today. All right. A very, very important thing. And I know what you're saying, and I know sometimes it can get scary. So it's important, guys. Really important to understand that you need to speak honestly. Okay. People don't leave companies, they leave silence. Okay. When leaders communicate, bridges are built, creativity grows, passion thrives. Right? I think that's important to understand. Lesson 4, speak honestly and you'll get loyalty because it'll follow. People don't leave companies, I said, they leave the silence. When leaders communicate openly, They show that transparency matters more than an ego. Honest feedback, whether it's praise or constructive criticism, builds a culture of true trust. When your team knows they'll get truth from you, even when it's uncomfortable, they'll give you the loyalty. Why? Because honesty feels like safety in a world full of guesswork and a lot of challenges. Try it sometime, right? Definitely try it. Number five, don't micromanage everyone, empower them. Micromanaging says, I don't trust you. Empowering says, I believe in you. When leaders hover, they suffocate initiative. But when they let go, support smart risks, and allow space for people to grow, teams thrive. The most successful leaders don't have all the answers. They create a space where the best answers rise from everywhere in the room. Number six is a life lesson. The tone you set is the culture you get. Culture doesn't come from slogans, it flows from your daily tone. Are you positive, respectful, and purpose driven? That energy will ripple through your team. But if your tone is cynical or harsh, you'll get a culture built on fear or indifference. Leaders are emotional thermostats. Set the temperature you want and watch your team align to it like that. Not overnight, but they will. All right. Number seven, a great leader listens before he or she speaks. Leadership starts with listening. Your team insights, concerns, and ideas are your roadmap to success. If you take the time to hear them, when leaders listen actively, they show humility and openness. It's not just about being heard, folks. It's about making people feel understood. And that's the secret ingredient behind every high functioning team. Number eight, integrity is the ultimate influence. No title, position, or even pay level will ever outweigh the power of true integrity. When your words and actions align, people respect you even when they are in disagreement. It's always okay to agree to disagree. Nothing disrespectful about that. But the moment you break your word or twist the truth, your influence becomes, well, a set of breadcrumbs. Lead with integrity, and you'll inspire others to rise to the same standard. I think that's something that a lot of people, don't get. They don't understand why that is that way. People don't want to be given malarkey. People don't want to be given what's just going to make them feel good. They want the truth. Even though sometimes they may not say it, they want the truth. Number nine, conflict is a chance to grow. It's not a threat, folks. Avoiding conflict only lets resentment fester. But facing it with maturity can strengthen your team. Great leaders don't shy away from tension. They navigate it with empathy, clarity, and courage. Does that make sense? And so you need to realize that avoiding conflict, as I said, only lets the resentment fester, right? The key is turning those tough moments into teachable ones. A lot of people don't get that. You're a leader, not a savior. You're not here to solve everyone's problems. You're here to help them become problem solvers on their own. Great leaders resist the urge to rescue and instead teach, coach, and guide. The goal isn't dependency, guys, it's development. When you step back and empower others to step up, you don't just build a better team, you build, well, greater future leaders. And I think when we're in different cultures, we act different ways. Not because we want to, but because we feel we've got to impress somebody. You don't need to impress anybody. The only person you need to impress is yourself. And I think that's something that a lot of people just don't get. All right. And maybe you're on the fence and saying, John, I've acted with integrity, but it didn't work. Well, You can't act with integrity one day and expect everyone to just be on your ship. People have to know that you're coming from integrity because you care, not because you're trying to manipulate somebody, not because you're trying to get somebody on your agenda. A leader inspires people. People choose to be part of that vision because they've grown to trust that leader. That's priceless, guys. That is so, so priceless. And maybe if you just took a moment, say, get this, or now I get that. It's important. Okay. It's important. And if we can just think for a moment, how could we be a better leader? Well, it starts out really simply. How can we give the advice that we would want to receive ourselves? How can we be more open with people? How can we be less of a dictator and more of someone who listens, more of someone who embodies and embraces the concept of trust, integrity? All these great buzzwords are wonderful, right? But thought without action is dead. You have to truly live the life, right? We always say talk is cheap, but you have to walk the walk, not just do the talk. I'm sure you've heard that many, many times in life. You try to find the people in your life that actually don't just walk the walk, but don't just talk the talk, I should say. They walk the walk, right? Because when people do this, it's like they're trying to convince you. Convince me of what? All right. I think that's important. And I think most people don't understand this. But if we could just take a moment to step back for a moment, that's it, and breathe, we'll find that we will soon have supporters lined up to be on our team because we're acting with integrity from our core and our true mission. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you guys here on these amazing shows, short form content, long form contents, and blogs and all kinds of articles I write. Please do check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'm going to catch you guys real soon on another show or another piece of my content. Just go to believemeachieve.com. And remember, start being a true leader, earn trust. Don't act with malice. Don't try to do something to manipulate somebody. Do it because of your core truth that you want to share with the world. Have yourself a great rest of your day and a wonderful one. Bye bye.